Saudi Arabia is seeking to cement its ties with the African continent. It will host the Saudi-African Summit to consolidate its diplomatic relations with Africa. Riyadh is also repositioning itself as a central player in the Middle East. It recently joined the influential BRICS bloc and it wants to diversify its economy. Khayelihle Khumalo has more from Riyadh in Saudi Arabia.
This country that has really positioned itself as an energy powerhouse, so really trying to forge ties as well with the African continent, especially because there are plenty of opportunities, but also here in Saudi Arabia, something that is really just spoken about quite a lot will have to be their own Vision 2030, where they are repositioning themselves. But joining us now is South Africa's ambassador here. Thank you so much indeed, Ambassador, for your time.
Well, thank you very much, Khayelihle. And thank you very much for this opportunity, and good evening, listeners at home, and as well as viewers with this SABC.
Ambassador, we're talking about Saudi, South Africa. We know of the connections between the two countries. I mean, we do remember President Ramaphosa coming here last year in October, trying to talk about all those deals, the MOUs that were signed. Tell us about the importance of Saudi-South Africa bilateral relations.
Well, South Africa and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have a very strategic partnership. That's why you have witnessed President Ramaphosa undertaking the state visit last year in October, coming to the kingdom, where we have witnessed signing of almost 15 agreements. That strengthened the relationship between South Africa and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, both politically as well as economically.
We're looking at the summits that's coming up, looking at the broader continental point of view. Plenty of opportunities as well in the continent. We talk about the African Continental Free Trade Area, and we know that obviously there are still some challenges in the continent. But what does this mean for these partners as they try to fortify and cement their ties?
Well, I'm sure Khayelihle will understand that the Saudi Africa Summit was supposed to have taken place in 2019 due to challenges that we all know. It has been postponed, and then it has been convened now, which we are looking at this as an opportunity for collaborations between South Africa as a continent as well as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which is found in the Middle East. Therefore, these two regions are strategically located to pursue their collaborations in terms of ensuring that the two continents, I mean, not necessarily the continent, but the two regions are able to benefit out of what is the current development economically, technology-wise, as well as this other potential development that are taking place in the kingdom that is referred to as Vision 2030, which South Africa has made a commitment as well to partner with them in terms of that development.
And we know that South Africa will be represented by Deputy President Paul Mashatile, showing once again the seriousness of how Pretoria sees the importance of Riyadh.
Well, it is true that we are looking forward to receive the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, who is the leader of the delegation to the summit, and accompanied by several cabinet ministers to show the seriousness that South Africa is serious in terms of strengthening its bilateral relations with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which is mostly focusing on economy. But as you have said, Saudi has an abundance of energy, and therefore we're looking at that to tap into that to ensure that we also benefit with their own oil reserves that is there to push our energy challenges. You are aware that the several companies like what you refer to as a huge investment in South Africa in terms of the current challenge that we face. So those are some of the areas that we are looking at.
Before we let you go, Ambassador, this particular gathering comes at a critical time here in this region. We know of the current situation in Gaza, and we know that Saudi Arabia is a very leading voice in terms of calling for cessation of hostilities. In the same vein, South Africa as well has been calling for the very just similar message of the respect of the civilians and making sure that we see that humanitarian aid getting into Gaza.
Well, even before I go to that point, Kaya, let me just say in terms of the bilateral relationship that we have with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, just this afternoon, Minister Patele as well as Minister Titiza virtually, they have signed what we call the trade-offs in terms of the export of South African beef as well as the livestock into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which will become a very important market for South Africa on our export. And therefore, the point that you have raised, well, Minister Pando has articulated the position of government, of which we all rally behind that pronouncement made by the minister in various occasions when he got interviewed. And therefore, South Africa has defined itself. What role do we want to play in terms of the Gaza and Israel?